What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the 182 News Podcast. This is your host, Poppin' Curbs, and I appreciate you tuning in to another motherfucking emergency pod. Round 2. The boys have played yet another show at Coachella. I'm going to start calling it Coach Hecka. So, we're going to get into that just a little bit. On, I want to say Tuesday or Thursday, Tom has a little post. It's got the three of them, and it says Blink-182 is headlining Coachella Sunday night. And all of a sudden, my phone just starts ringing. Ding, ding. People are pinging me. Ding. Have you seen this? Ding. Is this really happening? And kind of surprisingly, immediately that gets deleted. And I'm thinking, okay, typically where there is smoke, there is fire. So I feel like, Tom probably was aware that they were going to play that. I don't think he was fooled by any means. It just wasn't official yet, per se. But Tom deleted that post. We had to wait a couple more days. And then sure enough, they announced that they are playing Sunday night, round 2, Bring It On, main stage. So immediately I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is there any chance I could get out there? The little Blink crackhead in me is starting to think like, oh gosh, I could book a flight. It's a Sunday. Maybe I could swing it. But no, adulting, responsibilities, and most importantly, massive crowd with no cover. I just didn't think I could swing it. I'm so stoked to see Blink. I'm sick of everybody else getting to enjoy it without me there. But that being said, I was so stoked that they were playing. Obviously, I think, the last show, their first show back just blew everybody away. I've seen nothing but praise for that. I did an emergency podcast discussing that. I have since done 3 videos on the YouTube page kind of breaking down the gear we saw busted out. So check that out. I did one on Mark's bass guitars he played that night. Tom's, and then I actually had on Q182 from the Sticker Strat crew. I like that little rhyme, to break down Travis's new drum kit. So Travis has really a gnarly kit, and me not knowing anything about drum hardware, I had to bring on somebody who knew what they were talking about. If there's time at the end of this podcast, I might drop that in here, but we'll see. Anyways, the show got announced. It was official. I mean, this is a big deal. You're headlining Coachella, tons of people. I think I saw 125,000 people can be there that day. Are you kidding me? Fact check me on that. But I swear to God, when I Googled that and saw like main stage, 125,000 people, what the hell? Oh my gosh, insane. So, most importantly, I joked earlier a little bit that I was bummed everybody else was getting to see him before me, but it's okay, because what I love about this so much is I think a lot of folks are really getting, I guess, reintroduced to Blink, or, given the demographic. I mean, a lot of folks, as much as I hate to say this, may not have known Blink with Tom, or, been around for Enema and Takeoff and Untitled Days. So I'm honestly just super stoked, A, that they're all friends and back together and rocking out, and they seem like they're having fun, and B, that these massive crowds are getting this introduction. And I gotta say, and I'm gonna get into it, but they're just crushing it. I mean, they sound so good. So even though Tom jumped the gun just a little bit on the announcement, what I love about that though is he's just so excited. So, maybe in the past you get added to a show, it's like, oh crap, I gotta go travel, we gotta do this, gotta go do that. Tom, I mean, he couldn't help himself. He just loves it. And I just love those little moments where you just see Tom's excitement, and it's just Tom being Tom. It's almost just like a little kid who just can't help themselves. So to see that he was that stoked about Blink, that maybe he just got off a call or a meeting or a text from management, whoever, I don't know, saying, hey, you guys are going to play Sunday. And he immediately just went to Instagram to post about it. I think it's awesome. So I was super stoked for that. The last show had, it was one of the side stages, and it had a cover. So from a heat perspective, and when you're old like me and you start thinking about sunlight and sitting out in the sun all day, the folks who went out to that show kind of lucked out. So in my mind, I was thinking, I probably could have handled camping out all day underneath a roof. in that setting. This show last night, no cover. Main stage, you had to park your ass out there for 8 to 9 hours, and I just don't think I could do it. I really don't think I could. I've told the story before on the podcast. It was 2019 summer, one of the Enema of the State 20th anniversary shows, and I was fainting, like literally was fainting. And bless this lady's heart behind me who had a big glass of water. She saved me. Neck Deep was getting ready to take the stage. I started blacking out. I started falling. I told my Blink friend in real life, I was like, dude, we may have to leave. Like, I can't see right now. And I was just fucking overheated. So if you go to these shows, if you camp out all day, the dad in me is like, pack a water. Pack a cold rag. And make sure you pee before. But, geez, I just don't think I could do it. I don't think I could hold my pee for 9 hours, not drink any water. But for the folks who did that, and I know a few, I'm so stoked for you, and it's worth it, once the band hits the stage. I just can't imagine how rad that would be. So anyways, the boys played last night. Now, I got to say, I got a confession to make, folks. I need a little Dave Grohl. I got another confession. I couldn't stay up for it. I couldn't. I tried. I really did. I tried. I'll tell you what. I saw that the band was headlining. I saw 9:20 PT, and my old ass went, I don't think I can stay up that late. I have 2 young kiddos, and by the time the little one goes down, which is 7:30-ish, there's a little bit of sigh of relief. By the time this miracle happens when the second kid goes down, and I have peace and quiet for about 35 to 45 minutes before I'm too tired to do anything, I just kind of take it in, and I sit there and I just get so tired I have to crash. And I was thinking, God, I wish I could stay up for this. I've got work tomorrow. I just don't think I can do it. I tried. I'll tell you what, folks, it was a decent weekend on the TV. I was getting caught up on Barry. My man, NoHo Hank, is back. Better Call Saul, final season, hit Netflix. I'm getting caught up on that. And I'll tell you what, I have another confession to make. I've been watching wrestling documentaries for some reason. One of my buddies talked me into watching WrestleMania a couple years back. I had not watched wrestling since 1997, 1998. One of my buddies is a WWE ref, so I kind of pay attention to him a little bit. But I watched WrestleMania. I kind of enjoyed it. And then I just went down this little nostalgia path of like, okay, what are all these people up to that I used to love? Like Mick Foley and Stone Cold and Undertaker and all them. And I tell you, I discovered a podcast. Little side note here. Mick Foley has a podcast called Foley is Pod. I can't stop listening to it. I'm getting caught up. I'm digging in. I do this. I get obsessed with something, and I just want to know all the history and all the little fun tidbits here and there. And so I was watching a Mick Foley documentary on Peacock, trying to stay up for Blink, and I just couldn't do it. I know, fakest fan in the whole world, but I'm telling you, when you're this old, it gets tough. And knowing you have to do a bunch of stuff the next day, knowing that no matter what time you go to bed, that sweet little baby is going to be chirping at 5 a.m. I just couldn't do it. But I was stoked to watch it first thing this morning. I did. Couldn't wait. And we're going to get into that. Now, I will say, getting into to pushing midnight, I was thinking about this. I don't think I have been up at midnight since 2019 Black Friday. And you want to know why? Some of you may know why. The Plus 44 When Your Heart Stops Beating green press from SRC Vinyl was supposed to release at midnight Black Friday 2019. I stayed up. I couldn't wait. Here we are. I'm finally going to have all 3 of one of my favorite albums of all time, all 3 colors on vinyl. It's going to be amazing. It didn't happen. And in fact, it still hasn't happened. I was thinking even a little bit further back than that. When was another time I stayed up to midnight? Oh, the Master Chief Collection, Halo, my whole childhood, my whole college days. It was supposed to be the epitome of everything I love about gaming and all of my favorite video games combined into one. Stayed up till midnight, went and got it. GameStop, midnight release, got it home. That piece of shit didn't work for like 2 years. So I was thinking, I don't like midnight. Haven't dealt with midnight in some time. it was going to be there. I knew the stream was going to be there today. So slam me all you want. I know it's a bummer, but I did have to watch this secondhand. So I will preface the podcast with that. Now, let's get into this a little bit. So as I mentioned, Tom said that they were going to play. It finally became official. Here they are, main stage. They're getting ready to play. Now, as I'm watching this, same little intro, doom, doom. They walk out on stage. Immediately, what do I notice? Mark's shirt. The Cactopus, Hi, My Name is Mark shirt. Really rad. I was stoked to see this. I couldn't wait. It's funny in my mind, I almost can kind of tell what era or what year it is based on like the band members' clothing, especially Hi, My Name is Mark. I mean, I rock Hi, My Name is Mark every single day. So it was really cool. I see Mark come out on stage, Scully, one of the newer Hi, My Name is Mark shirts, the Cactopus, which was just amazing to see. Tom's coming out. He's got a similar to the Stars shirt. This one's black with pink. I need that. I almost bought the black and white one the other day. I mentioned this before. To the Stars was saying that shirt was just like flying off the shelves, the virtual shelves, once Tom rocked that at their first show back. And I was on their website the other day. I almost bought it. To the Stars, if you're listening, I need the black and white one. I need the black and pink one. Size L. I'll rock it on a future YouTube video, I promise. But it was just really cool to see them walking out on stage, and there's a moment right at the beginning, and I really like this. When I'm thinking about it, in the past, there's been like curtain drops or, the slow walk out on stage, whichever one you prefer. I think this is cool for them, especially with these huge crowds and these first shows back. Go out and take a moment, and it's just really rad. They walk out on stage like the legends they are. They kind of raise their hand, and I've seen a few photos already of all three of them just kind of looking up, acknowledging the crowd. Mark and Tom are kind of waving with their hands up. And I just think those are such special moments. And when you see those photos, it just makes me so happy. And they're just walking out, getting ready to rock, acknowledging the crowd. And then they go straight into family reunion, which is just hilarious. So as I was watching the performance, I mentioned last week on the first Coachella show, there was just a few extremely minor things. Squirt gun to the head. If you're going to say, Poppin', you've got to pick a couple things to bitch about. You're the most positive person in the world. What are just a couple nitty gritty little things that you even noticed? And one of the things that I had mentioned was Anthem 2. Tom had messed up a little bit, but first song back in Blink and forever. There's going to be some nerves there, no doubt. They crushed Anthem 2 this time. They really did. And I'm going to break down the set list a little bit further down in the podcast. But right away, they were tight. I mean, they really were. I thought they were tight. I didn't notice any errors on that. I didn't notice any of the auto-tune on First Date. And really, from a performance standpoint, I really thought that they were just absolutely crushing it. I really did. They swapped out Dysentery Gary for Stay Together for the Kids, and gosh, I was not ready for that song when it came. The power of that, I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but the power of that, I mean, I got goosebumps. I tried to take a picture of it for my Instagram story. I was not ready for that. My arm was just all of a sudden filled with goosebumps. I had tingling in the back of my neck. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is a moment. And, thinking about how long it's been since Tom specifically and some of the stuff he's gone through with his personal life, I'm like, that is a powerful, powerful song. So I was down with that swap. And then they did add Always into the set, which I don't think it necessarily took the place. But it did get swapped out for Don't Leave Me in some capacity. They did not play Dysentery Gary. They did not play Don't Leave Me. This time we saw two new songs in the set list. So I think overall, given the crowd, given the main stage, I think Stay Together for the Kids is more powerful in that scenario than like a Dysentery Gary or a Don't Leave Me. And then I think, commercially, I think Always more folks in that crowd would probably know that song and vibe to that song over like a deeper cut like Don't Leave Me. As far as the gear goes, so Mark came out with Scully rocking that Cactopus shirt. And I was streaming on Saturday. On Saturday, I was streaming Mario Golf on my Twitch. And I had mentioned that I hope Mark comes out rocking a Hi, My Name is Mark shirt. I really do. Because I want people to love Hi, My Name is Mark and buy a ton of it because it's my favorite brand and I rock it all the time. And I've always, been rocking it. So to see him come out, Scully, with that shirt was rad. He busted out Gin. So that's the bass guitar that Alan Corona handmade alongside David Saliste, who designed it, two of my buddies. Again, if you haven't listened to that podcast, go back and listen to it about all of the Easter eggs that are on it. It's really a special bass to me. I made a post the other day. I found a rad picture of it. I can't remember the lady's name who took it, but just an awesome picture of Mark smiling, holding Jen. And I posted on the podcast Instagram. I was like, just a surreal moment for me to see Jen live on stage. And it really was. I've talked about this, but I know what all went into that bass. And there's just some really rad Easter eggs on there that honestly I've been a part of. Like I've streamed Ghost of Tsushima with Mark. I've played a ton of that with him and Animal Crossing and all that stuff. So it really was special to see that live on stage. And honestly, when it comes to the tour, that's the one that I just can't wait to see. But it's funny, somebody commented, surreal, it's just a bass, bro. In my mind, I'm thinking, just a bass, my ass. You think it's just a bass to David, who designed that and is seeing Mark on stage with it? Do you think it's just a bass to Alan Corona, whose hands probably bled and making that, and he's sitting here watching Mark play that on his fucking birthday? It's more than just a bass. So I don't know why some folks just, I guess that's just the internet in general, but it's just a bass, bro. Fuck you, it's not just a bass. It's so much more than a bass. So that will forever hold a special place in my heart when I see that axe busted out. He played the Videz bass, the white and black one, for edging. He played Relic once again, and then he played that Daphne Blue. I believe that's like gonna be the I Miss You bass with a capo. So same guitars for Mark, bass guitars, and then Tom. And again, go to my YouTube page if you want to see really more of a breakdown on these, because I've done a couple videos on them. But Tom busted out the what I'm gonna start going with the sticker casters. So Blink Still Rules from the Sticker Strat crew had dubbed that the sticker caster on the last pod. I think I was going to call that the anime guitar, or I didn't know what to call it. But I'm going with sticker caster. I really like that. It's actually a shell pink. You still might think it's white if you just glance at it from afar, but it's not. It is shell pink. It's the one loaded up with the stickers, with the Descendant sticker, Bad Religion, the original Blink sticker. He busted that out. He did bust out the Gear 182 dudes call this one the penis caster. It's the one where Tom has, it basically looks like you gave Tom a Sharpie and said, have fun. Tom just doodled a lot of things with dicks on it. And then he played the Larson one by that artist, Steve Larson, I believe is his name, who just absolutely pimped that one out with just amazing art, Bigfoot, webs from all the spiders reference, Skankin' Rabbit, the Blink smileys on the horn. That one is just beautiful. So Tom played those. He actually played the Larson one a little bit more than the last set. I noticed that. So on the first one, he really stuck with that sticker caster. But I swear on this one, he played that Larson one a few more songs than he did on the last set. So it was cool. I love the new Starcaster. I said in that video, I really thought the Larson one was going to be my favorite. Leading up, seeing the teases because the artwork is so amazing. My understanding is that artist is from San Diego. He does not take on a lot of commissions, but being as it's Tom from the area, and I think he's a Blink fan, he knocked this out for Tom. And seeing those teases leading up to it, I was like, man, that might be my favorite Tom guitar ever. However, I'm a sticker strat guy. So seeing Tom bust out that one loaded up with the stickers, the sticker caster, and then there was two things he added that I noticed that weren't there on the original tees. One, he added that TOM, what I call the Tom Doodle. And if you look close, you'll see that. And for those of you who follow my autograph research, or, me being the Blink autograph nerd that I am, sometimes Tom signs like that. It's rare. It's typically got to be like a special piece or somebody he knows, or just when he feels like it. But I love when he does it. He just kind of spells out TOM and he makes a head out of the O. It kind of looks like a little alien stick figure thingy. Well, Tom added that to that guitar. So me being the nerd I am, I thought that was rad. And then Tom added that original Blink anime sticker, which I'm 99.9% sure that sticker came from me. Davey recreated it for our sticker strats. I had a bunch made to recreate a sticker strat, make my little replica. I sent a sheet to Mark. Mark gave one to Tom. Tom slapped it on the sticker caster. So that's the one you're seeing there. That's kind of that weird spider web. So because of those two things, I got to say, the sticker caster has won me over, folks. It really has. It's the one. I was thinking maybe we'd see some of the others. He has several. I mean, he's got, I want to say 10 to 12. I've seen a yellow one teased. I really can't wait to see that gold one. He has like that Roswell UFO looking one that's black and white, and it looks like it has a newspaper on it. I can't wait to see that one. But long story short, I'm really stoked with Tom's new guitars. A lot of folks were missing the Gibsons, or, I think a lot of people are just kind of tied to those emotionally because of the last 15 years or however long it's been since Tom's been playing that, since 2003-ish, Untitled days, and even BCR, I guess, if you count that one right before that, although that's 335, I believe, not a 333. So anyways, I think they are the perfect culmination of Tom's Strat days, combined with the Gibson. You've got that bulky body on it. I just think it's a perfect fit. So I said in the last podcast, I didn't think once about those Gibsons. I didn't miss them. Same goes for this set. Didn't even cross my mind. Heck, those Gibsons. So guitar-wise, this performance, we saw the same stuff. Travis had his Jelly Bean kit, which is new. So hop on the YouTube page to check out that video with Q182 if you're a drummer, or if you kind of want to hear some of the history of Travis's hardware and the breakdown of that new kit. Really enjoyed that. And again, I'll try and pop that in at the end of this episode. But yeah, from a visual aspect, they had a little bit bigger stage. Everything going on in the background was rad. I can't wait to catch a show and be able to see more of that. I thought, being a pro shot show once again, I think I actually enjoyed the cut on this show a little bit better. They had some nicer close-ups. There were a couple spots where on my stream it went black just very quickly, but overall, I think as far as the videography goes, or the live stream goes, I thought it sounded great. I thought visually it was sick. And again, I'm just really stoked that now both of these shows are going to live on forever with professional recordings, because they truly are just special moments in time. And, overall, just so stoked for everybody who was at those shows. My buddy... shout out to my buddy Chris. He was at that first show and just sent me, he's like a kind of a casual Blink fan, not even a hardcore or whatever, but he knows I have my podcast and whatever. And he was like, dude, I saw Blink and it was fucking amazing. He was like, it really was. And so that's what I want to hear. I'm all about just, casuals or whoever is at this show, maybe now paying a little bit more attention to Blink, maybe now being a little bit more stoked for this album, or now stoked for the album. And I think if you were anybody in the crowd at either of those shows, you had a memorable evening, no doubt about it. And that's what I'm all about these days, is like preserving the memories and just those special moments in time, especially coming out of really what's been a shitty couple years with the pandemic and everything. It's really awesome that the band's in a great place, and I feel like us as fans with this tour and everything coming up, like I honestly, I just can't wait to get out and be surrounded by Blink fans and just chatting with Blink fans and catching these shows. I mean, it really is, it's one of my favorite things in the world. It really is. And that's what's so special, I think, about Blink and the fan base, is it's just so much more than the music. And for me, when I go out, I very rarely, I don't think I've ever seen a To the Stars shirt in my town, never seen a Hymnim shirt. I don't think I really have ever even seen a Blink shirt. I'm trying to think. Oh, I was actually super stoked. Let's see, 3 weekends ago, I took my son to Chuck E. Cheese, and there was an older dude actually rocking the California zip up, and I was just so stoked. So to me, I'm just like a little kid. It's like when I see somebody repping Blink, I'm just like, oh, that's my people, Like, I just can't wait to go try and talk to them or bother them. Be like, what's your favorite album? When did you get into Blink? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So when I go to Blink shows and I'm surrounded by however many people, 10,000 or 7,000, whatever, it's special to me because I feel like I'm just surrounded by all of my friends who get this, who understand this, and who can chat about this stuff with me. You know, if I try to bother a stranger or talk to somebody about Blink, they're gonna be like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, I don't know that deep cut, or no, I don't know the history of why Tom's back or what happened. But you know, when I'm around a group of Blink fans or the Blink community, it's just interesting conversations, and I just can't wait to get into some of those. So anyways, I'm hoping to catch two shows here in about 10 days ish. So if you see me out at a show, say what up. I'd love to chat. Would love to say hey to you. Let's get into, though, the set list just a little bit here. Like I mentioned earlier, a couple songs swapped out. So Family Reunion, I think it's pretty epic to start with that. Excuse me, Anthem 2. What I love about this, I've got a little note here, is I really like how Tom is singing this. He's not just kind of yelling this like the album version. You can tell that he's practiced this, and this is like a new version of it with Tom actually singing this. And I just love how it sounds. One thing I noticed about the performance last night, it was bass only on the second verse, which I thought was cool. Mark's tone was just killer. Right away, we got some banter. You know, Tom was talking about his fire guitar playing. Mark was joking about his pubes. It's a good thing he doesn't have pubes or they'd be caught on fire. It's just those little moments right there. And it's almost like they're counting on that after every single song now. And, you know, it's something that we just haven't had a ton of that in the Skiba era. I hit on this on the last podcast. I know that's a big part of Blink. I know that's a really special funny thing, especially about live performances. It's not Skiba's fault per se. It's just the fact that when you get Mark and Tom together, those two are just so fucking funny that these little moments happen. So, you know, we're seeing that, and I hope you enjoy that, especially if you've missed it for, you know, since 2014, almost a decade of it. So, Rock Show was great. And one of these songs that's actually just blowing me away live, to be honest, is Man Overboard. And you know, to hear Mark just crush that bass intro. And one of the notes I have here on that is when they get into that, you can only lean on me for so long, the way that they are harmonizing on that is just killer. Pay attention to that, because that is not really how they've done that in the past. And you can tell that they're tight and have rehearsed that, and they're really thinking about how it sounds live. And that's just a little different than the album version or what I'm used to hearing. And it just struck me as just being beautiful. Feeling this is when Tom's busting out the penis caster. He had a great bridge on that. So on a lot of these bridges, Tom's just kind of getting free reign to do whatever he wants. And what you're finding there are really some special little moments where he's noodling around or letting stuff ring. But he was doing some palm muting stuff on that I thought was sick. Reckless Abandon. So I mentioned on the last podcast, you know, if you put a squirt gun to my head and said, Poppin', make a change on the set list. You got to make one. I had mentioned potentially swapping Reckless Abandon out, maybe for like a Josie or a Pathetic or something. I wouldn't think maybe that would be the case for a festival show, but if this translates into like the tour set list, maybe on that. But I gotta say, after watching it again last night, that was actually one of the highlights of the show. Reckless Abandon was to me. Great intro. It was fun. I thought they killed it. What's My Age Again? So this is one of those songs that to me just never, ever, ever gets old. I can listen to it a million times. Unlike First Date, All the Small Things, I Miss You. To me, you know, just hearing them just so much. You know, if I had to sign something right now that said, you'll never hear All the Small Things live again, and I had to sign it, I'd sign it. I would. I really would. I would not sign that for What's My Age Again. I would not sign that for Rock Show, for Feeling This. So it's interesting to me how some of these songs, you know, no matter what, I don't get sick of or not sick of, but just would rather hear a different cut or something. But What's My Age Again, I'm always stoked to hear this in the set. And I'll tell you, I got choked up. I didn't realize Mark was going to grab the microphone and give a bit of a speech there about kind of how crazy the past few years are or were, referencing his cancer and basically saying how music brings everybody together. And that, for me, that was the biggest moment of the whole performance. And it's something that really, it caught me off guard. I'm so happy he did. It almost seemed like he got choked up and maybe couldn't finish his sentence at one point, you know, looking out, thanking everybody. But yeah, I mean, as I consider myself a friend of Mark's, I mean, I know what he was going through, and I talked to him quite a bit during that time, and that's why these performances and gin and all these little things just mean so much more to me than just seeing three dudes rip a stage. It's just so much deeper than that. And knowing what Mark had went through, and to see him back out there in front of that many people, I mean, good hell, these are big, quote unquote, warm up shows. Here's a warm-up show in front of 100,000 people in the whole world on the internet. How about that? But I thought that was really cool and heartfelt, and just a really, really special moment in the show. I already saw earlier that K-Rock had posted that clip on their Instagram. So if you didn't catch the stream, or just want to rewatch that particular portion, go to K-Rock's Instagram. You'll find that there. Really special moment for sure. Dumpweed, Edging. So I thought Edging sounded even better the second time. I really did. And that was one of the ones that I was really curious on the very first performance to hear how it sounded. I thought it was great, but I thought they even took it to a different level on this one for sure. Aliens Exist. That's one that I think with Tom's, with To the Stars and everything he's going, I think they got to play that. I can't wait to see that one on tour. And then here's one, as I alluded to earlier, Stay Together for the Kids. We hadn't heard this on the last set, and God, they just killed it. I mean, I had goosebumps. The bridge was amazing. So this is one where, as much as I'd love to hear, Dysentery Gary or Don't Leave Me, when I catch them, I think I want to hear Stay Together for the Kids, because, I mean, it's just powerful. It really is when that, kicks in. It's heavy stuff. And, going back to Mark's comment earlier about music just bringing everybody together, it really does. It's something that to have that many people there in the moment, carefree, synced up, having an amazing night that they'll never forget. I mean, what else does that? I've thought about that before. It's like, what else affects that many people in the moment and can make you forget about everything, no matter what you're going through, no matter how shitty your day was an hour before. As soon as that music kicks in and those lights kick in, everything's just carefree, and you're just in a special, happy place, synced up with people feeling the same way. It really is it's a special experience, and I can't wait to get out there and catch some of these shows in person, because as rad as it is on YouTube, it's also pretty fucking rad when you're standing there, somewhere in the pit, ideally, or just in the fucking building in general. So anyways, that was sick. Happy Holidays was sick. And then Always, so this is one that we hadn't heard. And I gotta say, I got a note here. Mark's bass tone on that intro to Always was amazing. Listen to that, hone in on that. Whatever setting that was, I did not hear that in the previous performance or on the other songs. Maybe it's already locked in on something else, but with him playing at the beginning, that stuck out to me for sure. They go into Down. They go into I Miss You. And even though I was saying earlier that I Miss You is something that, I've heard so many times, I'd be fine not hearing it again. But I'll tell you what, when they get towards the end and Tom kind of cranks that distortion on his guitar and they kick in for that outro, that's pretty sick. I mean, that's a pretty special moment live, no doubt about it. First Date, slightly little different intro there, but still getting into that Ramones theme a little bit. All the Small Things, and then closing with Damn It once again. I mean, I thought it was incredible. Overall, my thoughts were that I thought they sounded even tighter, to be honest. I thought they sounded amazing. There was nothing I would change about that. Absolutely nothing. I think for a festival, with that broad of a demographic, a lot of folks used to hearing you've got to play the hits. You've got to play your more popular songs. So yeah, I've seen a lot of folks complaining about the set list, which always happens. It doesn't matter what era, what years. I mean, I've seen people complaining about set lists from 1995, 1996. They were mad that stuff got rotated in and out. It'll forever be a thing, probably with any band. But I will say, please keep in mind, these are festival shows. These are wide demographics. Not to mention, there is production that is locked in on these. They're not just going to bust into strings. They're not just going to bust into sometimes. You've got to be realistic about this stuff. Now, ultimately, We've seen the addition of Always. We've seen the addition of Stay Together for the Kids. So you should be able to deduce that when tour comes around, those are more potential slots in the set list, no doubt about it. Tom had mentioned at one point he was practicing 30 songs. So we're getting close to that. I hope maybe there's a new one in there, maybe one or two deep cuts. Whenever tour starts, and I think they will, being their show, if they have an hour and a half time slot as opposed to like a 50-minute, 55-minute or whatever time slot, I think inevitably we'll get a deep cut. I think you'll get your neighborhood song. Everybody's complaining there's no neighborhoods in the set list. You'll get it. I think you'll get Up All Night. I think you'll get Ghost on the Dance Floor. At some point, you might get Hearts All Gone. You might get Wishing Well. We'll see. I think if they threw like Ghost on the Dance Floor in there, I would be super stoked. But, I think when it comes down to an hour and a half set list, we're seeing probably 95% of what you'll probably see. And then you throw in an Up All Night, throw in a Josie, throw in one new song. That's fucking amazing. Like, that's ideal. I think that's pretty sick. So, overall takeaway, thought they sounded even better than night one. Thought they looked just as happy on stage, just as stoked. Literally didn't notice anything that I would change. I don't even have one thing, squirt gun to the head, that I would bitch about. It's an exciting time to be a Blink fan. And, I've seen the band's social media has been blowing up. Their Spotify listeners are blowing up. That's awesome. I'm so happy for them. They deserve it. They're fucking legends. I hope even young folks who maybe even never heard of Blink-182 or never seen Blink with Tom, I hope they're starting to get excited for some of this stuff, go out, catch a show, stoked for the new album, because this is a very, very important band in history, really, and especially to myself and to all of you. So I'm stoked. I can't wait for this tour. It's kicking off just a few days. Hope to have a couple reports back from that on the next podcast. And exciting, rad kickoff to a Blink summer. Haven't heard anything on a new song. Haven't heard anything on a new album. I would not be surprised, though, if we get a new song fairly soon. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we get one this week or next week, honestly. Let's ride this hype. Let's get another one out rolling into tour. That would be amazing. Emergency Pod Round 2, I think, is complete. I'm going to pop in that conversation about Travis's new drum kit with Q182 right here, just because I think it's a rad listen. So hope you enjoy that, and we'll talk soon. Be sure to follow the pod page at 182 News Pod. Follow the YouTube page to see a talking head. And somebody sent me sprees, and I don't know who the hell did that. So if you sent me sprees, let me know. All right, talk soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now joining us on the 182 News YouTube page, Q182 from the Sticker Strat crew. Q, what's up?
Hey, Rye, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you jumping on.
So
I've done a video on Tom's guitars that he used at Coachella. I did a video on Mark's bass guitars that he brought to Coachella. And I noticed Travis had a new kit, looks really nice, but here's the thing. I don't know shit about drums. I know that Travis is the GOAT. I love Travis. I've been following him for so long. I'm all about the beats and the vibes, and he just puts on a killer performance. But when it comes down to the actual hardware, I had to bring on somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about, and you're that man.
Thank you.
I want to start. I noticed, as I just mentioned, Trav's got a new kit. It looked a little different to me from a color perspective, even down to some of the logos. So what was he playing? Is this a new brand? Is this a new kit in general, all around? What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so as a lot of people know already, Travis is now a full-time endorser of Drum Workshop, DW Drums. Has been a full-time endorser since I think about 2019. It was right before the world shut down, but it was after like the California cycle, as I guess as 9 was coming out, like that time frame.
Okay.
As everybody knows, that Travis, his longtime endorsee, Orange County Drums, as everybody knows, that company no longer exists. Like, they don't exist in any capacity. They're not building drums. Guitar Center's not really doing anything with them right now. And really, it's just as simple as he needs a company that's going to be able to back him up all the time. and DW's able to do that. So Travis was using their hardware for many years with most of his Orange County kits. So it was just a natural progression to start playing their stuff full time. And so what we did see on stage at Coachella was a brand new kit. It was actually a jelly bean acrylic kit. So all the shells were made out of acrylic material. And what makes it a jelly bean kit is that each drum is a different color. So I'm actually looking at a photo right now here on my phone. The rack tom is orange. The first floor tom is blue. The second floor tom is red, and the kick drum is blue.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
those colors, I like. I love that, the jelly bean.
Mm-hmm.
Are those, so being acrylic? That's not a wrap. I mean, it's built that way.
Nope, that's the color of the shell material. So if you're familiar with Led Zeppelin, the orange drum kit that John Bonham played, that was an acrylic kit.
Okay. So his tech, Daniel, I know
Mm-hmm.
was obviously, I think, like a co-founder of the Orange
Yep.
County drums. Is
Yeah.
he involved with the DW stuff anymore? Do you know, or how does Daniel fit in now?
Really, Daniel, as I understand it, is just now his drum tech as he's been for years. As everybody knows, Daniel built Travis a lot of drums that a lot of us have not seen before. If you've seen his Instagram, the big ass wall, the big ass snare, the snare rack behind him in
Yeah.
the studio. That's there's quite a few things in there that I've never seen before. My buddy Jared Fallon, who honestly knows way more shit than I do about Travis's gear. There's probably some stuff he hasn't seen before, but really, Daniel is just his tech now and has been his tech for over 20 years.
Yeah, it was really cool to see him back on stage. The OC
Definitely.
Drum Devil. It was rad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So setup wise,
Mm-hmm.
and I always pay attention to like the color of Travis's stuff, but I never pay
Yeah.
attention to the logo. So I did see the DW logo, and I
Yep.
think I've seen that on a few of his kits recently, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple studio videos. The edging video was a DW kit that Daniel wrapped for that video. For some reason, I thought it was an Orange County before. I guess I got my brands jumbled, but that is a DW kit. So I guess that was the first time that you saw Travis on a DW kit, like in the public eye. But I really think that Coachella, like obviously, like with Tom coming back, that really starts the new era.
I gotcha. So setup wise,
Sure.
they come out for this surprise Coachella show, which was amazing. But setup wise, did you notice anything abnormal about Travis's setup, or was it pretty standard?
I thought it was pretty standard once I kind of did a little bit more research as I saw things kind of popping up from my friends online. I was actually able to find a full list that DW posted on Instagram. I got it right here. So really the sizes that he was running with, the same tom sizes that he had, the rack and floor toms were 8x12 and 14x16. One thing I did note, though, was that the red floor tom that you see on the DW Instagram was not being used at the Coachella performance. I could understand that with the lighting on stage that the drums could kind of change color. You couldn't kind of figure out what's what, but I didn't see a second floor tom on there, which Travis has been known to use for years. Like the pre-chorus to Adam song is a good example of using both. But yeah, 8x12, 14x16, that red floor tom that we didn't see, that's a 16x18, so just one size bigger. What I thought was really interesting was that the blue kick drum is 14x22, so it's a 22-inch drum head size, but it's a 14-inch depth. Everybody knows that Travis has either used 20-inch deep or like 22-inch deep bass drums. So I think the 14-inch depth, which is a very like vintage thing to do. A lot of 70s and 80s kits either had like 14 or 16-inch deep kick drums. So for him to go to a 14x22, I thought was really interesting. But I guess probably just wanting to change it up a little bit. And then his main snare was a 6.5x14 bronze, which is probably a really heavy snare, really expensive too. And then the black side snare, that was a PDP 6.5x14 black nickel over steel. That was tuned just a little bit higher. I thought that was interesting that he had two 14-inch snares on stage. Obviously 14 for your main snare, but usually a side snare is either like 12 or 10 inches big. So I thought that was interesting that he had two like regular size snares on stage, and obviously one was tuned higher than the other. But I thought that was a really cool observation.
What does a snare like that cost? I have no
Oh
fucking
my
clue.
God.
How, just ballpark.
Jesus. I'd say a bronze snare. I bet you that bronze snare that he was using is probably anywhere between 1 and 2 grand, probably even more. Because when it comes to bronze snares, because there's like steel snares, brass snares, aluminum snares, like all like the price of the drum varies by the type of metal that's used for the shell.
Mm.
Bronze is like top tier. That's like top
Huh.
tier stuff right there. So I'm sure Travis is like, what the hell? Use a bronze snare.
That's
They
crazy.
also they also sound really good in the studio. Like a lot of those more expensive drums usually sound better in the studio.
Is that the most expensive part of a drum kit? I mean, I'm genuinely clueless on buying
Sure.
a drum kit. Is that the most expensive part?
It can be if you want it to.
Mm.
You can, yeah. Even I'd say DW drums are they're pretty pricey. Some of their snares, because they do a lot of limited edition, a lot of limited run drums that are pretty expensive, and a lot of stuff is just really collectible these days. But really, it's as expensive as you want to make it. Is that
Mm.
if you have the money to spend, if that's what you want, just go for it.
Yeah, and you have the space to set up a kit. That was my
Yeah.
problem. I never had space or the place to play it. You got to have like
Mhm.
parents growing up who don't care if you're just smacking on shit all day.
That's where I am. That's where I am right now. So.
Nice. Speaking of
Yeah.
DW though, are there any
Mhm.
other like notable drummers you can think of off the top of your head that are on DW? I'm just curious.
Neil Peart from Rush, rest his soul, was
Mm.
a DW artist
Well, that's all you
from
need
the
to know.
oh yeah
Say no
from
more. I
from
mean,
from
Jesus.
from the late '90s until he passed. The two times that I saw them, he was on DW,
That's
and
awesome.
so yeah, he was with them for just I think just about 20 years, which is pretty wild. Good God. Well, I mean, you're putting me on the spot. I'd have to look up their artist roster, but
Hey,
yeah,
you,
pretty much like all the big names are playing DW.
between Pert and Travis, I mean, those are the two goats, really, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So it doesn't even matter. Nobody else
Yep.
matters after that.
There you
I'm
go.
curious though. You mentioned the smaller kick drum.
hmm
Sound wise, what does that accomplish? I guess I just don't know.
I think it's more projection because there's less because it's not as deep a kick drum for when you strike it with the pedal for all of that air to travel. That's less air that's being moved because it's a shorter drum. And again, because Travis loves all kinds of drums, from what I've seen, is that not he doesn't just have like the super thick Orange County stuff. I know that he's got Ludwig snares. He's got all kinds of things. So I'm sure that he was probably taking cues like, oh, this is a size that I've really been liking lately. Why don't we go with this?
Yeah.
So it's
Uh,
really it's an evolution, like with any musician.
that's cool. That's cool. As far as like pedals go, was he using the same set of pedals that he typically would?
hmm Yeah, he was using from what I could tell, it was a DW 5000 with the skateboard grip tape, which he's been doing for probably since Neighborhoods. Is he's been putting grip tape on his pedals, and it's just and I think it's just regular like DW double braced hardware, either the 5000 or the 9000 series. They all look the same, really. It's hard to tell just in photos unless you're like looking at something like on Sweetwater or something like that.
Yeah, rad. So lastly, I want to get your thoughts on the performance. I had to
Yeah.
do an emergency pod and basically go on a spiel for 50 minutes about how amazing
Very
it was. But
right.
overall, how did you feel about it? And then I guess specifically Travis's performance, was there anything
Mhm.
that struck you as different that he did or notable?
I think as far as Travis's performance, because I did watch it live when I saw the notifications roll in. I thought Travis put on a great show that he always does, and just did what he did best. You know, I thought the set list was an interesting choice with some of the songs. I didn't expect Anthem Part Two to be in there or Man Overboard.
Yeah.
So I was pleasantly surprised to see that. I'm sure along with everybody else being so happy for Mark to walk out with Scully.
So sick.
Best moment. I texted our pal Joey Madbeards right as I saw it, and I'm like, "You made that happen. That's
He was
you."
he was probably like in tears on the couch.
He was. He told me he was. Sorry, I hate to put you on the spot, buddy, but
It's a big moment.
that's yeah. I was like, you made that happen.
Yeah.
I,
So
th- I think
overall,
I
you
think it was
thought it was
really just.
rad.
Oh, it was great. I thought the set list was great. I thought as the set went along, they just got tighter and tighter. I thought Tom actually wasn't bad for once, as I
Yeah.
know there's been a lot of, I guess, criticism around his voice, especially in the later years. But I thought he did a really good job, especially on the older songs. It was just great to see the three of them on stage again. And
Yeah.
I can say that they were kind of responsible for all of the music that I would end up playing later, like all of the hardcore bands that I talk about. Like they were my jump to that. They were the bridge that I crossed to
Yeah.
find all of those bands.
That's rad, man. I thought they all just killed it. It was
They
so
did,
sick.
yeah,
So sick. All right. Well,
yeah. I
dude,
was I was just taking it all in. I was just like, ha.
yeah, I think most of us were, and I've heard nothing but
Mhm.
praise, man. It's just as
Yeah,
if we weren't all hype enough to see it finally
right,
happen, and then with a tour 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away, I
totally.
mean, it's gonna be sick. Well, Quinn, I appreciate your time, man. I've learned a lot here. Last question, though, I'm curious because I asked this to some folks before, and I'm curious because you're a good drummer. What's the
Thanks.
hardest Blink song to play on drums?
Zulu.
For real? Okay.
Dude, Zulu is so fucking fast.
Ah, a lot of people say Heart's All Gone, like no question. Where does that rank for you?
I would put it up there. I would say I will fully admit as much as I appreciate Travis and everything that he does, and shout out to our boy Davy Jones because I know he'll appreciate what I'm about to say. Scott was the bigger influence on my drumming
I
as
gotcha.
far as his speed because he was a machine. I mean, both of them are. But Scott was a machine with all of the songs that he played, and especially as they played, especially in '97, they were playing a lot of those older songs a lot faster,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I trained myself to play the way I play was those older records.
Okay. All right. There you have
So
it,
I think
Zulu.
Zulu, that's it. Just because that's a blazing fast song.
Do you know the BPM?
It's got to exceed at least 200.
Whew.
They
Good
probably,
Lord.
I mean, they probably weren't playing to a click back then because
No,
probably
definitely
just
not.
the three of them at least playing together. I could tell Dude Ranch was not done to a click track at
It
all.
wasn't. Yeah, Mark
Yeah,
confirmed that it wasn't.
no, it wasn't. I can feel when we were doing the A New Hope, that collaboration. There was definitely a tempo change in a couple
Uh,
sections. I could feel Scott like speeding up and slowing down. I was like, okay,
yeah, it's funny. The reason that I learned that was I think Mark mentioned at one point that a lot of DJs try to mix like damn it on top of a set or something and they
hmm
can't because it's not perfect timing.
it's not locked. Like it's not locked in the sense that it's locked to a click track. I mean,
Right.
I'm sure they were tighter than ever at that time with Scott. But yeah, that I can listening to that album and having and even doing some of the engineering that I do, um, I could tell that yeah, this wasn't done to a click, as most of those records were. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of those punk records that Dude Ranch falls into the same category. They were not done to a click track. Now I'm sure that Jerry Finn beat them senseless when they went in to do Enema of the State. That it was imperative that they played to a click track, especially
Yeah.
if you're playing to tape,
Yeah.
because they were still recording analog then.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I've been listening to so much Newfound Glory and I'm going off on a side tangent here, but
You're
talking
good.
to Ian and digging into the history on some of the NFG stuff.
Yeah.
But they actually went in to record a song with Jerry Finn, and Cyrus had never played to a click. And he said one of the first things that Jerry Finn did was, you got to play this to a click. And he said he wasn't comfortable in a new studio playing to a click, and he wasn't sure if he could pull it off. So that's a funny little side note there. But yeah,
Yeah. The funny thing is that the mix of hit or miss that Jerry Finn did, it was like, they don't like it, or
yeah,
we don't like it.
they didn't like
They
it.
didn't like it.
Yeah, they didn't like it and they didn't use it. And they weren't even like a huge band at that point. Like that was such a huge deal for them to go out there and record with him and for them to ultimately be like, I don't think you captured how we feel. It's
Yeah.
interesting. And that video is out there. It's public. And in fact,
Mhm.
I think they included that on one of the I think the 10th anniversary of
Yeah,
that
it
album.
was on the 10th anniversary, and I think one of them said like, yeah, Jerry Finn did this mix, and we weren't, and it just we weren't digging it. Just nothing personal. He did a great job, but we just weren't digging
Yeah.
it. But the funny thing was is that Jerry Finn made a point to everybody else that like, yeah, I don't like Newfound Glory.
I didn't know that part. That's funny.
Yeah,
That's hilarious. All right. Well,
yeah,
dude, this was such a pleasure. Appreciate you taking the time to hop on the YouTube page. So,
yeah. Of course, dude.
Q1 and 2, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, take care, bud.
Yep. See you, dude.